Hello, movie lovers. Welcome back to Rapid Fire Fridays from Movie Talk Express. I'm your host, Jacob Bartley, and I'm here with Jake Berlin from Apocalypse. And happy Force Friday, guys. You're going to hear our Padawan podcast in a couple days, so look forward to that. How you doing, Jake? What's going on,
good.
man?
How you doing, man?
I'm awesome, dude. It's a good day. It's Force Friday. I'm feeling great. Some good news topics to talk about, so let's jump right into it. Also, I want to mention Gio's not here today. He's usually running down the movie news topics for us, but he had some family things to attend to, so it's just going to be Jake and I today, so hope you can bear with that. All right, let's jump right into it. So most of you may know by now that iconic horror director Wes Craven passed away recently, and it's something worth addressing. He is an icon in Hollywood. He's an icon in film. He's an icon in pop culture, not just in the film industry. Everyone knows who Wes Craven is. Everyone knows who Freddy Krueger is. Everyone knows about Scream. So this is huge in the movie world. It's a sad thing, but luckily, he lived a pretty long, full life, a fulfilling life. He lived out his dreams. He did what he loved. So if you look at it that way, it's not so sad, but it always sucks losing one of these icons. And I just want to say, I'm pretty young. I haven't seen all of Wes Craven's movies. They came out like 20, 30 years ago, but there are a lot of his films that sit with me. And his influence on horror is nothing to look over. And let's just say he gave me a lot of nightmares as a kid. So, Jake, how do you feel about this, man? What does Wes Craven mean to you?
Oh, I mean, it sucks. The guy's been around for a very long time doing pretty awesome stuff for the genre of horror. When I look back, looking through his filmography, stuff like the original Hills Have Eyes, the original Last House on the Left, I know it's a favorite of yours, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, and personal favorite of mine, The Scream. I mean, it's what he did for the genre. It's pretty incredible. He kind of transformed it and made it something very different back in the day, and it still has its effect today. Directors today are still taking things for Wes Craven, still learning from his films, and it's sad to see him go for sure. I had no idea that this was going on with him, so it was a very much shocker to me.
Yeah, he had brain cancer.
Yeah,
right?
so
yeah,
I had absolutely no idea.
I don't think they made that public at all.
No, so it was very shocking, and it's very sad to see him go. It's gonna suck to not see his films anymore, but I'm sure that there's gonna be all kinds of memorials and recognition to his name for the next many weeks and stuff. And I know that the TV series Scream right now is doing it for current episodes that are airing.
Yes.
They're paying tribute to him, and because obviously the influence he had on that. So, thoughts definitely go out to his family and friends. So.
Yeah, and although he's gone, he's gonna live forever through his work and through his influence on all the directors that he's influenced, and specifically the horror genre. We would not have, a lot of the horror movies that we've had since his career started if it wasn't for him. Yeah, I want to talk about some of his films. Like I told you earlier, my favorite Wes Craven film is not, it's not Nightmare on Elm Street. It's not Scream. It's The Last House on the Left. Came out in 1972. It was actually his first directorial, which is crazy. I didn't know that until I looked it up. There's something so creepy about this movie because it's not. In a way, it's a realistic situation. There's not one like horror figure chasing around people, chopping them up. It's kind of like a home invasion story in a way, and it's so creepy. And the reason I like things that scare me are stuff that can really happen in real life. That's what scares me. So I absolutely love that movie. Of course, Nightmare on Elm Street, watched when I was a kid, terrified me. Freddy Krueger is arguably the most iconic horror figure as far as characters. And then Scream, you can't look over what Scream did when it came out. Even though it's not my favorite, I do appreciate what it did for the horror genre, and it's something so different, especially for the time it came out. So what are some of his favorite films?
The original Hills Have Eyes, A Nightmare on Elm Street, like you had said, Freddy Krueger One of, if not the most iconic horror character. He's just absolutely terrifying. The concept of it is just, I remember watching it. It's just, it freaks you out, man. Someone who can kill you through your dreams is just scary as hell. But I had to tell you this earlier, that there's a special place in my heart for the original Scream. I don't know what it is about the film, but it appeals to me and it hits me, and it's so much fun while still scary.
It's so clever.
Yeah, it's a very
Especially
clever
when it came
concept,
out.
and it's horrifying. A murderer, but he's kind of it's like this playful play on a murderer, and it's 2, 3, 4. They might not have been as good, but they still went on with the same concept. But definitely Scream for me, just because not only is it a little bit towards my age group, but it's that kind of horror movie that I like, almost a playful one. But like his original films, Last House on the Left, Hills Have Eyes, A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Swamp Thing, even. It's all great stuff, and definitely good things for horror directors to look at as they move forward with movies. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize this, but I didn't know he directed Red Eye, which it wasn't a bad movie.
And that's
I like that movie.
I actually wanted to. He didn't only transform the horror genre, but he added something to the thriller aspect of movies.
Yes.
Like he kind of expanded it to something more, and gave it this very scary aspect to a thriller movie. And movies like Red Eye and stuff like that. It's a perfect example of that. So.
Oh yeah, well, just want to say rest in peace, Wes Craven. Thank you for all you've done for Hollywood and film and just pop culture in general. We will never forget you. All right, moving on to some news that it's not really news, but it's something very interesting that came out this morning. It wasn't in our original show notes, but Jake brought it to my attention this morning, and it has to do with Chris Evans and Marvel. So Jake, why don't you go and tell them what that is?
So we've known for a while, well, those who pay attention have known for a while that a certain contract for a certain superhero, Captain America, Chris Evans, is going to be finished here pretty soon. And we've thought that with him saying, he might want to take a break from Marvel, go do his own thing with directing or whatever it is. Well, today, Collider has posted an interview. They were at the junket for his first directorial debut. And they interviewed him, and Chris Evans had this to say. Listen, if Marvel wants me, they got me. I've never had such a relationship where you have look at my resume. I'm used to being on set being like, is this movie going to be terrible? Marvel just can't stop making great movies. They do it in their sleep. It's wonderful directors and producers and actors and scripts. And it's like the playground as an actor. He goes on to say also, it's so mind-boggling that I was so tentative in the beginning to jump on board. What an a-hole I would have been if I hadn't done this. Can you imagine kicking myself? I'd never forgive myself. So it's very interesting that after all the talk last year about his contract coming up soon and is he going to move on as Captain America, he comes out and says, if Marvel wants him to stay on, he would love to stay on as the character of Captain America. For me, this is great news because Captain America is my favorite. You know that. He is by far my favorite out of all the comic books. Whether that happens or not, I'm not sure, but it's definitely something very interesting and awesome to look out for because if he can stay on as Cap and continue, it's pretty cool for a movie fan. So,
dude, this is awesome news. It's not really news, but it's so comforting to know that if Marvel wants him, which I'm sure they do, that he's willing, and I'm sure he's not going to demand too much money like other characters and actors in the Marvel universe. This is amazing. Captain America is what Wolverine is to the X-Men universe. Hugh Jackman, they're both characters who are out of time. They both don't age. So I was telling you earlier, Chris Evans is Hugh Jackman to this franchise. So it's perfect. He can play Captain America for 10 more years at least.
Yeah.
He's not going to age. The only problem you run into is the character doesn't age, but he's going to age in real life.
Yeah.
That's the only problem, but I'm sure he can take care of himself. He's a young, healthy guy. He's going to age well, so that's amazing. I'm so happy to hear this news, man. And it's crazy because I remember a couple years ago they were saying, or even a year ago, they were saying that he wanted to step away from acting to direct, but I think somewhere along the line, even if he did say that, somewhere along the line he realized how grateful he is to play Captain America and be so important to, on the biggest thing in Hollywood right now, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and how beloved he is by the fans and everybody for playing Captain America. So I think he realized that, and I'm glad to know that he would stay on if they asked him to.
I always took that news as like, he said he wanted to step away and direct and that kind of stuff. I always felt that he was going to step away from acting that was outside of the Marvel movies. Because
yes,
I
think so, because I think he's always going to be Captain America.
Obviously, Marvel, it's a juggernaut. They do movies like crazy, that kind of stuff. But that gives you one movie a year, and then you can direct your own stuff on the side.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It fits, and with this character can go on for a long time. Who knows what's going to happen with the Winter Soldier, all that kind of stuff. We don't know. But if Marvel gets him for another 3-picture deal or a 4-picture deal, whatever it is, it's great news for the universe for sure, because the character is a staple. I'm biased towards him, but I think that he is. Without him, I don't think it would have worked personally.
The whole MCU.
Yeah, I think that the character brought something so much to the universe. Like look at the Winter Soldier, look at the Avengers stuff. It's just like.
Well, yes, Captain America ties everything together.
Who would have replaced him without? Who would have replaced Captain America really? Like which character? So, and Chris Evans brought an unbelievable character to life. So it's pretty cool to hear.
He is Captain America.
Yeah.
Like when you think of Captain America, you think of Chris Evans.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like when you think of Wolverine, you think of Hugh Jackman. So eventually we're gonna have to move on from these actors, these characters, but they might as well milk it as long as they can. All right, staying within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is something that we did have in our show notes. So for those of you who aren't aware, in the past 6 months or so, we've heard that it was first that Hulk, Bruce Banner, played by Mark Ruffalo, wasn't going to be in Civil War. But then we heard that he was on set, and he said that he is going to be in the movie. But now it's coming out that that he's not going to be in the movie. So I'm confused. But this is a quote directly from Mark Ruffalo himself. It says, "The reason is too great to be revealed in this movie, Civil War. I was in the script, but then they removed my character. They don't want to reveal where he is and why. I don't even know if Hulk will be back soon." So what does this mean, Jake? I have no idea.
I'm actually happy with the news. I always thought that, he wasn't in the movie, and then there was rumors of him possibly being on set for the movie, being brought on, whatever it was. And when I heard that he was possibly on set, for filming, it didn't really make sense to me, because how would they go into depth about where he went and what happened to him? And
that's true.
That whole ending for Age of Ultron about him being in the jet, it wouldn't have made it as big or as an impact if he just came back in Civil War.
The next movie, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear the news. To hear that he was originally in the script, that's cool. It's interesting to see what happened and everything. But I'm glad to see that they scrapped it to go for something much bigger, because obviously we're probably not going to get a standalone Hulk movie for this phase, or possibly even the next phase. It doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. But I'm glad that they're going to leave the reveal for something much more important down the line. Where did he go? What really happened? What is he now? Because I also Joss Whedon, back when Age of Ultron was beginning to be released, there was a quote that came around that said that he had told Marvel that there was a scene in the movie apparently that got cut, and then I guess he told Marvel, "No, we're cutting this. You have to save this for later. This is
really
bigger." Yeah. So
wow.
Not only this, but there's also something from Age of Ultron that happened that they're keeping from us.
Wow.
To leave for later that could be a bigger reveal. So obviously, even though there's not a standalone, they have big plans for Hulk. Something is coming.
Yeah, I don't think they need to make a standalone Hulk.
No, and because he's worked perfectly in this whole ensemble thing.
He's so great as a side character.
So it's very interesting stuff. We're not going to know for a while. But I am glad that they cut him from Civil War, because there already is so much going on, and you don't really need the whole Hulk storyline when Civil War is going down. So
yeah, it's the fan in me, of course, wants to see Hulk somehow involved in Civil War. Funny thought came in my head, what if everyone's fighting and then Hulk just jumps in out of nowhere and is like, stop, and like just stops everyone from fighting, just grabs them all with his hands, like, what are you doing?
That'd be a big twist.
But of course, the fan in me would love to see that. But the realist in me understands that there's so much going on in Civil War. You're introducing two very, very important characters in Black Panther and Spider-Man already. So I think it's already overcrowded from on paper, even though I think they're gonna find a way to make it work on screen. But yeah, it's unnecessary to have him in there. And I do think Hulk is great as a side character, but I just really quick, I'm gonna geek out for a moment. A lot of people say if they do a Hulk movie, they want to do World War Hulk. Are you familiar with the storyline at all?
That's the one storyline I want.
And so he's basically goes to another planet, right?
Well, he's sent off the planet.
Yeah, and he's he's a prisoner there per se, or
he becomes almost like a gladiator.
so he's a gladiator, but so he's a gladiator for whatever planet this is, right? And then he eventually takes over the planet and becomes the leader of the planet, and then goes back to Earth to fight the Avengers, right? So. And a lot of people say the reason you can't do that is because you can't have a Hulk CGI the whole movie. And yeah,
that's the one issue.
No shit. Yeah. So here's my thing: have him get sent to the planet or end up on the planet somehow, and when he's not fighting in the arena as the gladiator, just have him as Bruce Banner, and you can have him like whatever. If he is kept as a prisoner and a gladiator, when he's in the cells, like. You can have those other characters be interacting with him, and he can build like a relationship with those characters and just be his human self. And we all know how smart Bruce Banner is. So this whole time he could be developing a plan to get out of there, and then he kind of creates his own team with those people that are also gladiators. And then when he does go in those gladiator fights, you throw him in there as the human. Like imagine him, Mark Ruffalo, like just tied up or like just thrown into the arena as the human, and you see some big beast creature come out. And then obviously he has to turn into the Hulk to fight that creature. So he turns into the Hulk and fights that creature, and then everyone in the arena loves him. And then it can kind of be like a Prison Break movie too.
Maybe that's where he meets She-Hulk.
Exactly. So I don't know. What do you think about that idea? Do you think that could work? They can have Mark Ruffalo in the movie as a Bruce Banner.
I think that could work as long as because the storyline, the comic book, there's a whole bunch of different creatures and aliens and species and everything. So it depends on if the planet they're on is obviously breathable for Mark Ruffalo.
That's
the human
true
character.
Too.
So that could work, but I wouldn't doubt that by the time a possible World War Hulk movie comes along, Mark Ruffalo just steps in a motion capture role for the entire film.
I wouldn't mind that either, but the problem why they can't do that, it's so expensive. That's the thing.
Well, Andy Serkis did it for apes, though.
I know it's Hulk.
You're right. I know it's Hulk and it's Marvel and everything, but why not?
I wouldn't mind that, but I wouldn't want that necessarily because how much can you do with the Hulk interacting with people? You know, I mean, I guess you can have him slowly start being able to control it and being able to have conversation, but we all know when he turns into the Hulk, he gets dumbed down. You know, like he can't think right. He can't. That doesn't mean he can't like learn to and develop it, but I just think it calls for some really interesting storytelling. And with the character of Bruce Banner, if when he's not in the arena and when he's not fighting, he's just Bruce Banner, and he builds a relationship with those other creatures that are being held prisoner as gladiators as well.
And I think that's the only way a standalone Hulk movie works. I don't think you can do another one inside like the US or the world. Yeah. I think it just doesn't fit right now in the MCU. I think if they're going to do a standalone movie, that's the only standalone storyline you're going to be able to do.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome.
So,
yeah. All right, well, moving on. So this past week, the trailer for the movie called Concussion came out, starring Will Smith. And for those of you who don't know, this movie is it's based on a true story, and it's about a doctor who discovered something involving the NFL players and the damage that they're taking on playing this sport, and how it's damaging their brain and causing a lot of brain damage. So I mean, I'm not the hugest NFL fan. I don't know too much about this issue, but I I really love Will Smith, and I'm fascinated with the concept and the story, and I'm really interested to see how they portray this story. And so we've seen the trailer. Jake, I'm curious to see what you thought about the trailer.
I liked it. I thought it was good. This is the type of role I like seeing Will Smith in. The doctor, a little weird, but kind of like almost a court battle out in the open, basically.
Yes.
But it's a very, for those sports fan, that's a very, very important topic that's been going around for the last year or two. It's huge around, especially around the NFL. Not only have been like NFL veterans been battling, head issues and stuff like that, but guys who have been in the league for 2, 3, 4, 5 years are now retiring because they don't want to get hurt from it. And, they're not letting their kids play because of the problems with it. And so it's a very, very controversial issue right now. The only thing that I'm worried about with the trailer or with the movie is that they might have blown it out of proportion a bit. That it felt a little bit too big. Like there was a scene in there when someone was being followed by a black SUV.
Yeah,
it kind of feels like an FBI,
like
CIA
the government's
situation.
involved.
Yeah, and it's the NFL. It's like the National Football League. I know they're a big corporation and all, but it just felt like it was blown out of proportion just a little bit.
Yeah,
and I want to see the
story,
and I don't need some big extravagant drama stuff. I want to see the story no matter how big or small it is, because it's a very important issue that needs to be touched on. So that's the only thing that worries me a bit. Otherwise, I liked it. And I thought Will Smith with the accent and all was really good. So it so far looks really good.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have been more prepared, but I looked up the IMDb page, and it said so. Will Smith is playing Dr. Bennett Amalu, the brilliant forensic neuropathologist who made the first discovery of CTE, a football-related brain trauma injury in a pro player. And so that's the synopsis from IMDb. I really liked this trailer a lot, but I do have two concerns with the movie. Like you said, I'm afraid they're going to over-exaggerate, like the NFL's going to kill him if he doesn't stop. Like, come on now. Like, if maybe this was a fiction story, they could do that, but this really happened, so don't exaggerate the events. Like, of course, they're going to have to dramatize it more for a movie. I don't mind that at all, but don't exaggerate the stakes. As far as like, if you don't stop, the NFL is going to assassinate you. Like, I hope they don't do that. And another thing, I hope they don't sugarcoat the story, and I hope they don't leave anything out that's true, because they're afraid the NFL is going to retaliate somehow. Don't be afraid to go after the NFL. Like, this is a real issue, and it needs to be addressed. It really does. It's sure, people love football, and everyone has the right to do whatever they want with their body. If you want to go play football, that's your decision. You're a grown adult, and you're making that decision. You know the risks. That's fine, but kids don't know. They don't make the choice to play football. Their parents put them in it. So you got to think about this stuff, and it's very important. And something I'm really not worried about, which I was at first, but now I'm not, the accent. So a lot of people are crapping on the accent.
I thought it was really good.
He looks amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Oscar nomination.
You're calling it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I like Will Smith, an actor. I hope it happens. But I'll hold off on that.
First of all, let me say, I don't know who's going to be nominated, what movies are coming out, what performances we have ahead of us. I'm just saying this looks like an Oscar-worthy performance. And I thought it was okay, like through most of the trailer, but I think it was like in the last 20 seconds. I forget what he said, but he says,
"Tell the truth."
Yeah.
He's got the tears coming out of his eyes. He says it twice.
He looked incredible.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I cannot wait for this movie. I love Will Smith as an actor, and I think he's gonna redeem himself with this movie. I know a lot of people have given him a lot of crap lately with After Earth, and
that's Shamhammer's problem.
Him trying to force his son into movies, and him wanting to be the lead with the Django thing, where he was supposed to play Django, and he didn't want Christoph Waltz's character to be the hero. So all that aside, I love Will Smith, and I want to see him perform in a role like this. So I'm very much looking forward to it. It looks awesome. Okay, moving on to another subject. So Steven Spielberg made some comments recently about the superhero genre, and apparently a while ago he said that he thinks the superhero genre is going to die off, and it's harming Hollywood and the box office for other movies to perform. Which, sure, but I kind of disagree with him in a way. But so recently he made some comments, and these are what they are. He said, "I still feel that way. We were around when the Western died, and there will be a time when the superhero movie goes the way of the Western. It doesn't mean there won't be another occasion where the Western comes back and the superhero movie someday returns. Of course, right now the superhero movie is alive and thriving. I'm only saying that these cycles have a finite time in popular culture. There will come a day when the mythological stories are supplanted by some other genre that possibly some young filmmaker is just thinking about discovering for all of us." So I see what he's saying. Of course, every genre has had its heyday and, came and gone and been like the most popular genre at one point. Westerns were huge back in the day. And it all comes around full circle, just like any trend, clothing, music, anything. I understand what he's saying. And being a huge fan of superhero movies, I think we're living in an era where it's the best time to be a film fan, at least for fans of this genre. And I don't know. I see what Spielberg is saying, and I agree with him for most part, but I feel like he's kind of bitter about it in a way. I feel like he has a hate towards the superhero genre for some reason. And maybe it's because, like, a lot of his movies, a lot of his big blockbusters aren't superhero films, haven't been superhero films. And while they've made money in the past, I feel like he feels threatened by the superhero genre, that if he makes this, let's say for his movie coming out, Bridge of Spies, for example, like, let's say that movie came out 15 years ago, maybe it makes 50 million opening weekend, but it's not going to do that this nowadays because, superhero movies are the hot thing, and big genre films are the hot thing, and maybe that'll hurt the chances of a movie like that. So while I agree with him to a certain extent, I do feel like he's a little bitter towards it. And of course, every trend dies off and comes back. So Jake, you've heard these comments. How do you feel about this?
I kind of feel the same way. I mean, I don't know if he has a hate towards them, but I feel like maybe he just feels like there's too many of them, and maybe his comments got blown out of proportion. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, he said it. I don't agree with him. I think that the superhero genre, like we've been saying, it's now a genre. It's becoming its own part of movie history.
It is.
And they aren't like, it's not like the Western genre where it's all kind of one thing. We've seen just the last 2 years superhero movies creating their own subgenres.
Yes, exactly.
The Winter Soldier is a political spy thriller. Guardians of the Galaxy is a space saga movie. Ant-Man's a heist comedy. BVS is going to be an action adventure. It's like they're creating their own subgenres inside the genre, and they're always keeping it fresh. And they're only going to evolve as we keep going along. Yeah, there will probably a point in time where they slow down. We won't see as many of them because they'll already be done. But I don't think they'll die off, personally, at least for a while. There's going to be a time where it all restarts, reboots, starts over, that kind of stuff. But I don't necessarily think it'll die off and become what the Western did. It'll just slow down, I think. But they're going to evolve. They've been evolving. They're only getting better, and there's only becoming more of them. And I mean, just look, DC is only one movie in, and they have tons of characters to do. Yeah. So that's going to go for at least another 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel's got tons of characters they still want to do. That's another 10 years, 15 years, whatever it is. So it's definitely not going anywhere soon.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. You actually kind of even furthered my opinion on how I disagree with him, because you're absolutely right. Superhero movies are now, everyone that comes out is another type of movie. So you had, like you said, Captain America Winter Soldier, political thriller, Guardians of the Galaxy, space opera, Ant-Man, heist comedy. So you didn't have that with Western movies. Westerns were straight Westerns. Drama, violence, that's it. And you can't do I guess you could do a Western comedy or a Western heist movie, but it wasn't looked at in the same way. You can do so many different things with superhero movies. There's so many different characters that call for different genres. Captain America calls for a political movie.
Ant-Man calls for a comedy.
Ant-Man calls for a comedy. So you're absolutely right. It's very different. The superhero genre is here to stay for a while. And even, I don't see, okay, let's say the MCU finishes, the DC EU finishes. They're just going to reboot it again. And you really think those movies aren't going to make money when they reboot it? Of course they are. This genre's not going anywhere.
It's appealing to especially the young age.
Yes.
It's a young age genre. It's like Steven Spielberg's movies are, college and up.
Yes.
Where superhero is college and below. And even older people as well.
I honestly think
appeals.
Superhero movies span from 5-year-olds to
they span to everybody.
50-year-olds.
But they're aimed to the young audience,
you're right,
obviously.
You're right.
So they're definitely not going anywhere as far as the box office goes.
All right, well, we can talk about this subject for hours and hours, but we don't have that much time. So let's move on to another subject revolving James Bond. So the author of 007, the creator of James Bond, Anthony Horowitz, you guys might have heard this is a controversial thing going on, where he said that Idris Elba is too street, quote unquote, to play Bond. I just got to say, man, this is idiotic. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Anthony Horowitz outside of the 007 genre. I don't know who he is as a person, but to me, it sounds like he has no idea what he's talking about. Idris Elba is one of the classiest guys around. He brings so much suave and he's so smooth. He's the furthest thing from street. Is he joking? Does he not know what the word street entails? I don't understand this. It's ridiculous. And this is coming from a person who I don't necessarily want to see Idris Elba as James Bond. I don't. A lot of people say, everybody is calling for it. They love it. Not me, but I totally disagree with this guy, Anthony Horowitz. And there were some other comments he made about Bond, but let's talk about this Idris Elba issue first. So, Jake, what do you take from these comments?
They're dumb, obviously. I personally think they're dumb. But, people are going to comment on people the way they want. And I'm calling for Idris Elba to be Bond next.
Yeah,
I
know.
I want him to be Bond. I think he would be an awesome Bond. It sucks to hear these kind of comments because street is a very, very strong word.
Yes.
Very strong word.
Come on.
I don't have the comments in front of me, but what Idris Elba said back to him or how he responded was pretty great in itself. So it does suck to hear this kind of stuff. I don't think it's right. I don't agree with him at all. Idris Elba is one of the best working actors today, I think, in my mind. But I think he would be an absolutely great Bond. And even if he is too street, as he says, it just adds a different element to the character. I know he's supposed to be this high classy guy, this kind of style, but why not evolve and make it a little different? So,
yeah, I wouldn't mind Idris Elba as Bond, especially because. So here's my problem. So we know Daniel Craig, Spectre's coming out this year, right? So that movie's gonna come out. I think Daniel Craig has one more movie in his contract. So if they are gonna make that movie, we're not going to be done. Well, let's say the next Bond movie comes out in 2017. All right. They're not going to get the ball rolling on another James Bond movie till at least 2020. Start filming it is what I'm saying. By that time, Idris Elba is going to be 47.
Give it to me. I
don't mind, but for me, so Daniel Craig is in his 40s as well. We have this old rugged Bond already. I don't want to see another old rugged Bond. I want to see after Daniel. I love Daniel Craig. He's the best Bond in my opinion, hands down. But once they're going to reboot this, I want to see a 20-year-old James Bond.
John Boyega.
I want to see. Sure, why not? It's not a race issue. It's an age issue for me. I want to see how did James Bond become an agent? When did he get recruited? How was he as a young guy? You know, don't you want to see that? Every Bond we get is in his 30s and 40s.
But I think that's what's so great about the character is the mystery.
We don't know.
Him. And we through these movies, it's just kind of been unfolding, like where he's from, what happened to his parents. So I would love to see it, but that it almost falls in line with a bunch of other spy movies. That's the great thing about the character is the mystery.
Yeah, you're right.
him.
You're right.
But although I would love to see it in a younger Bond in itself, so I think it could work.
Yeah, you can have Idris Elba as an older Bond, and you can do flashbacks and have John Boyega play the younger version. I don't know.
There you go.
Who knows? You could do that. All right. Well, just one little thing to close out Rapid Fire Fridays today. Apparently, the Academy Awards, the Oscars, are looking to have 2 hosts for the 2016 Oscars for the 2015 year. And Jake, I want to hear who would you like to see host the Oscars if it was 2 people?
You know, when 2 people come to mind, I always think of Amy Poehler and Tina Fey.
Tina Fey, yeah.
But I was telling you this earlier. I just followed both, and I know they're newcomers and they're really young.
Well,
but
I know where you're going.
But when I see these 2 together on a video, like outside of filming movies, John Boyega and Daisy Ridley have some really, really good chemistry together. It would never happen, obviously, but I've been able to see like their Instagram videos and Twitter and like interviews and stuff, and they're pretty damn funny. So although it would never happen, I think it'd be pretty cool to see someone like that host it or that kind of pair. But someone like even like Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon together, the 2 Jimmys, and have
that would be awesome.
Or here's even a better combo. Actually, here I'll go with this pick: Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake.
Why not?
Because do you know that they're best friends?
Really?
They hang out with each other. They go vacationing together.
I didn't know that.
If you Google and look at their show stuff, they hang out together all the time. I would go Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake. Those are the 2 I'd go with.
Wow.
Or even like The Rock and Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, that would be
Jimmy
awesome.
Fallon paired with anybody, really, because that guy is hilarious.
Of course, you can't go wrong with Amy Poehler, Tina Fey. You can't. But that's the obvious choice.
I would love to see The Rock do it.
I would. The Rock with whoever. That would be awesome.
Literally.
Jimmy Fallon with whoever. I wouldn't mind Daisy Ridley and John Boyega, especially because Star Wars comes out in December, and it's still going to be in theaters when the Oscars air, and they're going to be so popular at that point in time. But I don't think they would go with some people that young.
I'm telling you, just look at their Instagram videos.
I'm going to. I told you, I'm going to
They're
follow.
really full. Both of them are really good together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it'll never happen.
Yeah, not anytime. Maybe like in a future Oscar because they're going to become iconic characters in pop culture. I think so.
For sure.
So, that would be awesome. I don't have anyone off the top of my head. Of course, I would love to see Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. That would be awesome. You know who I don't know with who, or hey, why not? I was gonna say Amy Schumer. I would love Amy Schumer.
And Jennifer Lawrence.
Sure. Yes. There you go. Amy Schumer, Jennifer Lawrence, or
because they are best friends now.
I wouldn't mind Amy Schumer and Bill Hader.
Yeah.
I think
here you go. Amy Schumer and LeBron James.
Yes. Why not? Either one. That would be incredible.
I think LeBron James would kill it. Personally, I think he'd be really good at it.
Yeah. Why not?
Oh,
he's
just
awesome.
Gets me LeBron James.
He was
Amy
funny
Schumer.
in Trainwreck.
That's what I'm saying. Because they had the two scenes together. Amy Schumer and LeBron.
I love how LeBron is like goody good, and that's a dirty movie. He didn't say anything dirty in the movie. Like he didn't cuss at all. I guarantee he's like I want to protect my image.
That whole Cleveland scene in the cafe.
Oh my!
It was so
good. And that
good.
stare he gave.
Yeah, when he's staring at Amy Schumer.
He's so funny. I want to see him. I don't want him leading a movie or anything, but
he'll be leading a movie. It's called
Space Jam 2. Yeah, but I would love to see him to continue to have side roles and stuff, and I would love to see Space Jam 2. All right, that's going to do it for Rapid Fire Friday for September 4th, 2015. Force Friday. So I'd like to thank Jake Berlin for joining me today, man, in the absence of Gio Ramos. Let them know where they can find you online, Jake.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the Jake Berlin, Twitter and Facebook at Apocalypse, and apocalypse.wordpress.com.
And I'm Jacob Bartley, your host of the MTE Movie Podcast and Rapid Fire Fridays. And you can find me on Twitter at Jake Ryan Bartley. And just look me up anywhere at Jacob Bartley. And please check out our site, MovieTalkExpress.com, for great articles, movie news, movie reviews, conversations. And find us on Facebook at Movie Talk Express, on Twitter at Movie Talk EX. And please follow our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, or hit that like button if you're already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week.